Hello everybody, my name is Roxtus,
And I'm Soulgale.
and welcome back to Warframe. Wow, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Alright, Equinox. Wow. So,
Equinox.
Equinox is probably one of the most difficult Warframes to actually farm. You'll actually find the farm here on Uranus, on Titania, dropped by Tile Rigger. This is one of the most difficult farms because Equinox has so many parts. Instead of the base 3 parts that Equinox usually drops with, where you see on most Warframes where they drop with, which is Neuroptics, Chassis, and Systems, Equinox drops with a duality of those parts plus both aspects, ramping up to 8 parts in total. So if we have Equinox, you'll see that both there is a day aspect and a night aspect with the base Warframe. That makes it more complicated to farm the base Warframe, and it just makes it overall more difficult, with each part being around 11 to 13% chance for each part to actually drop. So it just takes longer overall to actually get the drop chances and actually be able to get the Warframe.
Yeah.
Alright, so that does make it a lot more complicated than it really needs to be. Onto the abilities. So the passive is with Equinox. It's basically the same thing as the mod Equilibrium. 10% of health orbs are converted into energy, and 10% of energy orbs are then converted into health. This doesn't really suit Equinox, as none of the abilities actually drop health or energy orbs. This would be more so suited towards something like Necros, where you actually have a drop chance to drop health orbs. So there, I don't know why they really gave this to Equinox. It does make sense because Equilibrium, you have the day and night form. So 10% of health and 10% of night energy makes sense because you do have Equilibrium there. But since the abilities don't have anything really to do with health or energy orbs, I don't see how this flows into the rest of the kit. Onto Metamorphosis, switch between forms, temporarily gaining shields and bonus armor in night form, or bonus damage and speed, movement speed I believe, in day form. So you have a drain of 25, the duration is 25 seconds. The damage multiplier by the day form is 1.25%, or basically 25% increase in damage, whether that's from firearms or melee. Either which way, it does that. Speed increase is 15%. This, I believe, would be applied to base movement speed and weapon speed, melee speed, or fire rate. I'm not sure on the extent of that. Night form, you gain 150 shield capacity, and armor, you gain 250. Now, those bonuses are only during the duration of 25 seconds. After those 25 seconds are out, then they're gone. So that doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. The main reason that you would use this ability is to swap between both forms. Rest and Rage. In night form, targets are put to sleep, and in day form, targets become more vulnerable to damage. Kind of. In day form, the enemies become more enraged, become quicker, and they deal a lot more damage to you. Drain is 25, range, casting range is 50, duration is 22 seconds, radius of the ability is 5 meters, and in the day you get a damage vulnerability of 50%, meaning that whatever damage you deal to them is increased by 50%. So whatever your weapon is, if you deal damage, you're adding another 50% weapon damage to that unit. Speed increase is the enemy's speed increase, which is what I explained earlier. They get ragey at you and they move quicker. And with any NPC, when you notice that they move quicker, they are more intelligent and they do deal a lot more damage because they're quicker.
I learned that the hard way.
It's pretty much, if you think about a speed increase of 20%, it's the same thing as a speed decrease. If you're in Frost Snow Globe and there's a 67% speed decrease, that means they're 67% slower. In turn, that applies to their damage modifier, which actually slows them down by 67%, making them deal 67% less damage. Speed increase, however, is the inverse of that function, making them deal 20% bonus damage. So giving yourself more power strength on this makes it so that the enemy deals more damage to you. Fun little fact, math. Night. Wake up threshold is for when you put targets to sleep. The sleep threshold is basically remaining health threshold. So if they have half health, they will wake up when they're below half health or at half health. So as soon as you get them to sleep, hit them enough, and they get below that half health line, they'll wake up. Pacify and provoke. In night form, reduce damage inflicted by nearby enemies, and in day form, increase the ability strength of nearby allies. Drain is 10, radius is 16 of the ability. Day, you basically increase power strength of allies by 20% on a base. The energy is per ability cast. So when your ally casts an ability, it drains 3 energy. So you kind of want to be efficient for this, especially if your allies are spamming abilities. You need to make sure that you're not draining a whole bunch of energy. Night, the energy is per enemy in your aura. So if there is 10 units around you, 5 units around you, etc., etc., if you have 10 units, it's a half energy per those units. So if you have 10 units, that's 5 energy. If you have 20 units, that's 10 energy. So that's energy per second that's getting drained out of your energy bar. Damage multiplier is applied to the enemy. So if you have more power strength, that means that they're going to be dealing less damage. At base, it's 50% damage reduction. So if at full, and if they're near to you, this is why this gets a little bit more complicated. You have to do a lot more research into this than you really need to do. 50% damage reduction is applied to the center of the area. And then there is a fall off, as I don't know why this is, but as with rocket launchers or anything that implodes, when you are on the exterior of the blast radius, you get dealt less damage. When you're on the interior of a blast radius, you get dealt the most damage because you're the closest to an imploding grenade or anything like that. Same thing here. When the enemy is closer to you, you get more damage reduction. The further away they are from you, the more damage they deal or the less damage reduction they get. I don't know why this is. This just makes the ability more complicated than it needs to be. And I would think that most enemies would be able to keep the same damage reduction regardless on distance from you. But that's just me. Damage multiplier is 0.5, so if they are dealing damage to you, instead of 100% of damage coming through, they're going to be reduced to half. If you increase power strength on that for the night form, they can be reduced even further, I believe down to 80%. I don't think there is really a cap on this though, because the function, it goes further and further down. I'm just going to say, because the power strength does scale, and you will get better reductions further down the line. Mend and Maim. Night form. Allies' shields are replenished for each enemy killed. In day form, enemies are inflicted with a bleed status effect, which deals damage over time. It's actually true damage over time for bleed, I believe. I don't know if they've changed that or not. Deactivate while in night form to restore health and shields. So you have to deactivate the ability to be able to heal. And deactivate while in day form to cast a wave of slashing force. So the drain is 50 energy. Drain per second is 3.5. The radius is 18 for the ability. The day, the damage is 150 on a base, and the damage multiplier is 75%. Now this is 75% of the damage converted from killing enemies that goes into a bar. When the bar is filled, upon depressing the ability or decasting the ability, a burst is dealt throughout the aura that basically deals the gained or stacked damage to everything around you. So it will burst that stored energy and deal damage around you. Same thing with the night form. There is a health multiplier. This is also applied to the healing benefit. So if you kill an enemy, it converts and deals damage in day. If you kill an enemy in night, it converts and it heals all the allies for that health that you've got in your bar. It's a stacking bar. Shield per kill. For the night form, basically as allies or you kill enemies, it basically gives you shields. And that's something that actually was just recently added onto Equinox. This is complex. And this is complicated. Let's get into it. So I do have 3 builds, but there are actually only 2. Both of these are going to be the same. The only difference is for the Nox, you're going to get a little more power strength. That's pretty much it. I basically never use that. It's just an option if you want to add on growing power. Depends on what you want. But as per normal, visit Trinities to go and see Prime Fury Shitted on definitely not getting knocked down. That's nice and fun not to get knocked down. Steel Charge for added melee damage. For Equinox, we want to be as efficient as possible for all of these abilities, making sure that we're not draining a whole bunch every second as per the Mendem Maim and also Pacify and Provoke for the night form as well as for the day form, because you're spending energy per ability spent for allies. You're spending energy per enemies that are in your aura. You're also spending energy per second. So you're making sure that you're just not draining a whole bunch of energy and your abilities go off. This needs to be consistent and this needs to be efficient so you don't run out of energy. Starting off, we're going to go ahead and look at Peaceful Proclamation. This is the best augment, I believe, for Equinox. Pacify and Provoke augment. So this is for your 3rd ability. Pacify converts damage done to allies into an aura that slows enemies by 40%. Provoke and converts damage done to enemies by 15% into extra ability strength. Now this ties in very well with Pacify and Provoke. Now this is where it gets complicated, and I love complications. So the day, we're going to take a look at here at the day form in particular. Strength is 20% bonus. This bonus gets added on until 50% and then it hard caps. Here on Pacify Provoke, it adds 15% extra ability strength and you can add 100% bonus to get 30% and then it caps. So you can only get 80%. 80% is the highest bonus power strength that you can give to your allies so that your allies can deal more damage or gain more defenses or whatever their ability is. Whatever depends on the frames that you're allied to, but it buffs your allies by at least 80%. So from Pacify and Provoke to get the 15% to 30%, you need 100% bonus power strength. From the Pacify and Provoke, you need 150% to get from 20 to 50% to max out day form's bonus. Now we're going to talk about night form. Pacify converts damage done to allies into an aura that slows enemies by 40%. So the damage percent conversion here is actually based upon maximum health and maximum shields. The more damage you take per percent of your shields. So 1% of shields or health. And now here, I would say, yeah, keep your shields nice and low for Equinox because you're going to be able to convert a lot more of those percentages into the percent slow here. That's going to be a lot more useful rather than giving yourself more shields and it takes the enemies longer times to actually get your shields down, because the conversion percentage is off of 100% of your overall maximum shields and 100% of your overall maximum health, and having a higher shield bar makes it so that you get less out of that conversion. Smaller number, easier to take down, makes it so that you get buffed easier and quicker. Bigger number on the health bar means that it takes longer to get your overall bonus back for night form, just to kind of make it easy there. So you're slow, you need 100% bonus power strength to be able to get your slow up to 80%. And for the damage multiplier, if you give 100% bonus damage reduction or 100% bonus power strength, you'll get your 50% damage reduction down to 25%, meaning that you have 75% damage reduction at the epicenter of the ability. Again, I wish this was throughout the entire ability. I don't know why they have the damage reduction falling off when you get further and further away from the epicenter of the ability, but that is what it is. And of course, you can see at the very bottom of the ability, you can see Peaceful Provocation, and we have our slow at 80% and our power strength at 30. That's probably where we want to be at. For Mend and Maim, you really can't do anything for the damage multipliers, whether it be your damage multiplier or your health multiplier. It's not affected by power strength, so you're always going to convert the same amount regardless of power strength, which is pretty nice. For this, we go ahead and power because we want to be able to get that extra 50% to be able to get Dayform's power strength bonus all the way up to 80%. We need the extra 50% to only be able to get the strength multiplier from the ability itself from 40% to 50%. We're adding 50% of 20, which gives you 10% added on to the 40%, you get 50. So there is that. We go super efficient to keep this super efficient. Efficiency is at maxed 75%. We do not want to go lower than that. We are going to accept the negative ability to duration efficiency, or the negative 50% ability duration, so that we can keep it at maxed efficiency. So Peaceful Proclamation, we're basically just buffing that ability there. Natural Talent, Equinox's casts are very, very slow. Even in this, both of these builds, I've been working with Nox and Equi, which is basically Nox is the night form, Day is the Equi. We've been looking at, okay, well, what's the best build for both of these? It kind of came around to the same thing. Natural Talent, you still want this on here because the abilities across the board cast very, very slowly. Primed Flow, for the maxed energy, you get more battery. You get Umbral Vitality and Umbral Intensify for 55% added power strength. So Empower adds 50%, you get 55% here. We still need another 55% to be able to get to 150%, which maxes out the Dayform's abilities. Stretch just gives you some basic stretch and range without negating ability strength, as the only thing that goes above that is going to be Overextended. Overextended is going to negate 60% ability strength, which we do need quite a bit of ability strength anyway to get Dayforms up all the way for the ability strength bonus. So we do not want to negate that one there. We're just going to leave it with basic stretch to give more ability range. And for our Tower Forged here, we're going to add that extra 50% because we actually have 5% over with Umbral Intensify. So if you think 50% here, but you have 5% over, then we are going to take that and we're going to go 15, 30, 45, add 5%. We're going to get to 50% bonus power strength. And then we're going to do the same thing as Mag and add more casting speed because of those long casting times. Let's see, did I miss anything? I don't think so. So yeah, just Empower for that. Ah, yes. If you want a lot of standing, if you want to get your weapons up very quickly, here's a quick build for just making people dream, making them sleep so you can get a lot of affinity. When you're using Rest and Rage, especially with the sleep, this is why I don't use it in this one, because it's not really useful. But if you are looking for a build to get affinity quickly, to be able to level up equipment, to be able to get your Enamoron, your focus classes done, this is a very good build. Steel Charge, Prime Sure-Footed, if very good efficiencies. You want full-on range for this because the ability range is kind of sucky with this one. So take it as it is, but it is very quick to cast, so that's the nice thing. You get full range, get more efficient, get more casting speed, so you can just cast the ability and go through on your rampage and kill people, and then Primed Flow for the added energy max. And especially with sleep though, when you are killing enemies and you are doing it fully stealthed, you're going to get an affinity buffer based upon stealth kills, and that will increase the amount of affinity gained, or basically experience gained, when you're killing people. So we usually do, I think it's Adaro, right? Yeah, the Adaro exterminate, right?
Yeah.
And you can go throughout this mission, sleep everyone, backstab them, or just straight up kill them, and you'll get a ton of affinity. That's the quickest way to level up any equipment, or if you want to get your Namron lens done, or any of your other lenses done, that's a very quick way of doing it. And this is the build that I would use for that. Other than that, though, we are actually going to be using the Rakta Dark Dagger. This is very good for Equinox because the Rock to Dark Dagger has a very unique special effect on it. When you are attacking a unit, it even says it right here on the page. Then strike with confidence. Hits to irradiated targets with radiation proct, restores your shields and creates overshields. Why this is very effective is because you have very little shields. That is able to proc your slow very, very quickly. Because you have low shields. If you have higher shields, it's going to take a longer time to actually build up your slow. When you're talking about the irradiated damage and you're getting your shields back, that brings your shields back to minimum shields. I wouldn't go over shields when attacking. Just go up until you fill up your shields. And then when you start to take the damage again, that's what's going to be building back up your slow. Your slow will be able to be filled back up really, really quickly. And gotta take a second here. This is a lot of information to give. But so yeah, it gets your shields back very quickly, and then you're able to take that damage and you're able to fill up that 80% very, very quickly. So it's also a good defensive as you're not getting killed too quickly or easily. It's kind of silly though, because I again I'm gonna have to come back to pacify and provoke. Why the damage fall off? Again, it's very bad. It's overall very bad because most of the units in this game are ranged. They are going to be shooting you from a distance, and having that damage negation fall off further down the line doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think they went a little bit too complicated there instead of keeping it simple. But again, here we're going to go back into here. We're going to take a look at this. So radiation, it will give you your shields back. And then of course we have healing return on here just to get your health back, because let's face it, this ability to heal is pretty sucky because you have to activate and deactivate the ability to get the healing off. It takes a very long time to proc the ability, kill somebody, and take the time to kill somebody, and then to deactivate and get the healing off of it. It just takes way too long. It's not a very convenient heal. It's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
Well, should we go ahead and test this one out?
I'm ready.
Yes. I do a lot of math on these ones.
Math is good.
Math is good. A little bit too much math. All right. So first off, I'm going to swap over to night form. She's got a pretty white dress. And we're going to hit 3. That's going to proc Peaceful Proclamation. Whoa!
What?
Is it going up by itself? No way. I've never... Did they?
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke you out.
How did I get 9% off of that?
I'm sending
I only got
auxiliary
6%.
Oh, that's so weird. Interesting. But the main thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take damage. And because my shields are low, that's just going to be able to build up the percentage. And if I can actually get my shields back with the Rock the Dark Dagger, that mainly comes, though, with higher levels. There we go.
Oh, I was
our
getting
shield.
hit.
And we get higher slow. Now this is actually unuseful. Because in survival mission, you want to be killing people. And when you're slowing them down like this does not help during survivals. Because then you can't kill people and they have a harder time getting to you if you want to kill them.
Yeah.
This actually doesn't help. I love Equinox, but this does not help with survival missions. So you can tell people are starting to get slower. They're starting to slow down. And it's nice because it's peaceful. But again, I need to be killing people to making sure that I can get my life support back. We're only at a 50% slow. We're not even at 80 yet.
Yeah, I'm at 60% now.
Yeah. Ouch. So I can go ahead and use my fourth. And you will see on the top left there, it says 16.5k. That is my build-up. 19.8k. And the more people I kill, the more I get into that charge. When I release the charge, it'll heal everything in my aura. And I'm just going to go ahead and take damage here, if I can.
Yeah, I'm already at 80% now.
Everyone's very, very slow.
I'll get out of the aura.
Yeah.
Oh, you're at 80 now.
I'm at 80%. But you can see how this isn't very useful because they're so slow. This can actually end up failing your survival mission because they can't get to you and you have a harder time getting to them because they're so slow. So this actually is less useful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and swap over to the day form. Day form's fun. I would not use Rest and Rage. If you use Rest and Rage, you are probably going to die very quickly, especially in the day form. Because of that speed increase, they will immediately kill you.
I learned that the hard way.
And this is faster because right now we're already at 80%. It took that long to build up the night forms to be able to get to 80%. This is much faster. I'm already at 80%. I'm already killing people.
I'm at 82.
And then, burst the bubble.
I like bursting the bubble.
Yes.
It's very fun.
So the day form is useful to a point though, because as soon as it gets higher levels, that's where Equinox just starts getting worse and worse because the day form can't survive higher levels and he can't be as bursty in higher levels. He can buff.
Yeah.
I won't say that the buff isn't useful, but I don't know how useful it is. I mean, it is useful as Blind Rage adds 99% power strength. I guess 80% is okay, but again, it doesn't feel as useful as it should be. And then same thing with the Night Form. Night Form can survive higher tiers, but it becomes much slower, so it doesn't pan out. Doesn't pan out like I would expect it to.
I also like using the dagger for a different reason, just to speed through missions.
Oh yeah, daggers, especially with the slide, you can traverse through rooms super quickly. It's probably the #1 melee weapon for just movement, getting from room to room, being able to get through missions. The main thing is it's so spammy, and your fingers start to hurt if you do it too long.
Yeah.
But burst my bubble, pop another one. But as soon as they get too high of level, this is going to be to the point where it's not going to kill them anymore. With the Night Form, same thing, especially with survival missions. If you can't kill them, they will drain your life support and you will die. Won't matter how slow they are at that point. And this is pretty useful.
Yeah.
For a while. Until you get to know the game a little bit more. Alright, shall we go?
We go.
Alrighty. Alright.
Another job well executed.
Okay. So, as you pretty much can tell, I have taken a lot of time to actually mod Equinox. Equinox is probably my #1 fan favorite. I love Equinox for what they are. I do like Mag, don't get me wrong, Mag really is really good, and she's probably my one at heart because I started the game with her and I really love, you know, just coming back to her. It's just so nice. But
Yeah.
ever since I started the game, when I started the game, I wanted to get Equinox, and I really wanted to mod him out. I went for Equinox, got all the components, put it together, and I spent lots of time trying to mod Equinox, trying to get it to work, trying to get it to be what I wanted it to be. And here it is a little while later. I'm barely using Equinox all that much. I actually had Mag Prime lower than Equinox Prime. And I picked Mag back up and I was like, man, there's just so much I'm missing out, especially with Mag Prime. Equinox, it's not that you want to nerf Mag Prime. She's perfect where she's at. Equinox just is very lackluster.
Yeah.
It's beautiful abilities, beautiful Warframe, but I wish Equinox had more potential. There's just a lot missing out of Equinox, and especially for the frame itself, it feels too complex. Like, Mag is super simple in every single ability, and you get into Equinox, it's complex from the moment you start trying to build them, complex to the moment you start trying to mod them, and then especially when you're getting into missions, it doesn't help. It doesn't help one bit. It does do what you want it to do. It does slow down the mission. It does give everyone a power strength buff. But other than that, I wish there was a little bit more potential for Equinox, because you pretty much have to rely on your weapons 100% to make sure that you can get through a mission. It doesn't feel as viable as I would want it to be. And I do love Equinox. Even from day one, I love trying to get Equinox. I really wanted to get Equinox, and I got Equinox, and I spent a lot of time going through his abilities and their abilities and trying to mod them. But I'm a cat, and I have ears, and it didn't really pan out.
I'm a weird goat with my horns.
You're a weird goat with your horns.
Look at my horns. One's up and one's down.
I like the base Equinox skin though. I just love the traditional, and plus two, the entire Uranus tile set. It's a very beautiful tile set.
Yeah,
if you ever get back into it. Just the ocean falls down on you. But yes, is that all the time we have for this episode?
Unfortunately, yes.
And we will see you guys in the very next video. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye!